Hey, how you doing today? I hope you guys are doing well. On our previous video, I showed you some of the looming basics, and this one I'm going to show you how to take that finished loomed piece and turn it into a barrette. The first video I showed you how to load your loom and get it ready and all set up and get a pattern and read the pattern and make a pattern. The second video I showed you how to put the beads onto the loom to make a cool piece. And so, you should have a finished project or that kind of, looks like this here. So you should have a finished project like that. So we're gonna make a barrette today. So as far as the barrettes go, you can make it this size, but you could also make it a lot wider. You could take like an applique pattern that you like and make it into a barrette, or beaded rosettes even. You want to make sure that it's going to fit your backing though. So as far as these guys go, I'm pretty sure there's maybe one or two different sizes of these. This is the larger size. I can't remember the exact size. Let me look on the box here. I think I got it right here. Yeah, this is the 3-inch. I think I got this at my local Walmart. It's so many of these. There's so many in here, but these are 3-inch ones. And I know there's the smaller ones. I want to say maybe they're 1.5 or 2-inch barrettes. So whatever you're going to make, you want to make sure that it's going to line up and fit. And that the whole part of the barrette backing piece, the clip part, will be covered with the beads. And you also want to give yourself enough room to make the backing. So we'll kind of go over here what we're going to need for supplies, and then we will start getting busy making one. So obviously, of course, first of all, you're going to need your loomed piece or a beaded piece. You're going to need your barrette backing, your barrette clip. This guy here. You're going to need a pair of scissors or clippers. I would recommend scissors because we're going to be cutting felt for it. And I'm going to do a hard felt on mine. This looks a little crazy because I've used it prior, obviously. And you're going to need it's got to be a hard felt, because if it's that flimsy stuff, it's not going to hold well. And it's not going to, when you sew it, it's not going to hold well when you sew your stuff onto it. So you want to make sure this is a hard felt, because they do have the soft felt, but they also have a hard felt. So you want to make sure it's a hard felt. I was going to do black, but I couldn't really see what I was doing well, and I knew that you guys wouldn't be able to see it. So I went with the white on this, which is okay because I have white in my pattern. So, and then you're also going to need obviously a needle to sew everything together. You're going to need some beeswax. You're going to need some thread. I'm going to just use a size D Nymo for this. And you're going to need an adhesive, and I use the E6000. This is like the, I don't know, everybody who does jewelry and stuff knows about the E6000. It's the jewelry glue, I guess, that everybody uses. And it's a great glue to use because it dries clear, and it's kind of got a thick texture to it, so it holds really well. And just make sure to try not to get it on your hands and stuff, because I think this might be a little toxic because it smells horrible. And I use you're going to need like a little toothpick or something to apply the glue. Now, I think that's everything that we're going to need for our supplies. And a pencil of some kind to mark on your felt. So I will tilt my camera down here and we will get started. Now, let's see here. Bring you guys down. There we go. All right. Now our first step, we're just going to need our scissors and our felt and our pencil. And we're going to cut the shape of the loom barrette. So you're going to want to go from this area down to this area, and you're going to want to cut it as straight as you can. Doesn't have to be entirely perfect, but the straighter the better. And I'm going to make marks. That actually, I might do it on this side here. And I'm going to make marks so I know where I'm going to be cutting. And you don't want to have a major overlap on that. You're going to want to have it pretty snug to each end. That way you kind of know kind of like that there. I'm going to cut that out. And you can kind of trim it and stuff to line up better with the one you're doing. Get that out of the way. I'm not a great straight cutter, I'm going to be honest with that, but do my best here. I think that's why I never really sewed, because I cannot cut a straight line to save my life. And I like to flip it over and kind of eyeball it and see. That looks actually really good to me. Might be a little crooked, but that's okay. And then what I do, instead of doing that twice and having to measure twice and whatnot, I just am going to line that up and just cut next to it. Just stack them. And then just cut next to it here. There we go. So we got our two backing pieces here. We can set this aside. We'll be done with that. Alright, so we got that done. And one of these is going to be for the loomed piece. And one of these is going to be for your backing, for your clip. So I'm going to glue my loomed piece on first, because that way it'll give it time to dry while we get our clip put on. And I do not tie these off because it's going to leave little knots on both ends if you tie those off. And what I like to do is I will fold it over and glue it, and that way what happens is it hides all the thread, and it leaves a nice clean edge. And I know everybody does things differently, but this is just how I've always gone about doing things. So I want to kind of make sure that we're looking pretty good there. Now I'm going to, only on one end, first of all I'm going to decide which end I want to face the outside. I don't think it really matters. It looks good both ways. I'm not seeing any knots hanging out or anything like that. So it looks good either way we go. Now, I'm going to trim one side of my, not too much. Actually, no, I'm not going to trim that yet. Hang on, I'm sorry. Now you see how I'm pulling? What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this down, and I'm going to kind of gently tug and kind of gather up all those threads as I'm gently tugging. And you'll see how that folds over, and it kind of makes a nice little end there. Now, I'm going to get my glue, and I want to make sure, because sometimes these get a little hard at the top, so I'm going to take a little bit of that top off of there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of that right on here, like so. You don't want to go too crazy because you don't want it to come through on the other side of your beads. And I don't go all the way to the edge when I apply my glue. I like to leave a little tiny little spot, at least for me to be able to sew everything together. Now, I've got this, I'm going to, because I'm right-handed, I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to gently kind of push on that while I'm pushing on, put my finger down on the top there to kind of keep it in place. I'm going to gently kind of gather these up and pull them down, and then I'm going to take my glued part, and I'm just going to lay that right there. just like so. This is kind of hard to do because you got a big spot. And then I'm going to kind of adjust where it is on there. I kind of like where that's laying. It's looking good. It's lined up nice. Make sure we got it lined up. Like so. And that looks really nice to me. Now, you know me, I'm a big fan of the binder clips. I'm going to just clip that down till I can get those other, we'll make sure that we're lined up nice. Like so. I'm actually going to bring this up just temporarily to kind of, I notice you want to make sure all those threads are tucked under. And on the edge threads, you really want to make sure that the two edge threads are tucked nice and tight in with the other ones and not coming out on the side. And then I'm just going to clip it together temporarily until I can get my other side put together, because that way it won't fall apart on me. And that is going to pull on it a little there, it looks like. So I'm going to go this way. And that's just temporary, just for now. And then I'm going to take my scissors and cut these threads, just like so. Get those out of the way. Maybe we can cut a little, yeah, I think that should be close enough. I'll trim it just a little bit. Thanks, guys. Just kind of trim them down. Get them out of the way. There's still a couple. There. That made it nice and clean. Now, I'm going to put a little more glue here. Get a little strip up to there and spread it around. And this is just going to hold everything in place until we can start sewing our two pieces together. And put a little bit of it down. Here we go, because we want to be able to do that over here. Now, the other side's a little trickier because we've done all those steps. Now I'm going to get another clip, and I'm going to clip this piece of felt down. And then I'm going to bring my threads down like I did on the other side. I kind of just hold it, and I just kind of gently kind of pull it through my fingers. Like so. And see how this edge is kind of sticking out? I like to kind of pull them close together. Like that. And it's going to look a little warped for now, but you can adjust it after you get everything glued. Like that. Now for this side, because we have a long piece, what I do, just put a little dot, just a little dot. I kind of work it around on those threads, and that'll hold them. I put my toothpick down and just kind of pull it through like so. This is the complicated part, this other end. See, that glue will kind of hold it. Oh, we got a little dry piece. Sometimes that glue dries kind of quick. I'm going to put another little dab on just to kind of make sure we're getting them all. And I just take this toothpick and let it hold those beads. I'm trying to bring this one on the edge in because it's Sorry, I'm running off the camera. Here we go. Looks like we got them. Now, I like to make sure we're all in place. Looks like our edges are needing a little more glue. That's just to hold it there so we can trim it and lay our felt. It takes a little bit of maneuvering and adjusting to get it to stay. This one here just won't stay. Kind of work with it. And like I said, this is just until we can get trimmed. Alright, looks like it's going to stay. Now I'm going to trim that. There we go, just like that. Now we can take our piece off of here. We're going to want to glue it. Kind of spread it around here. And this is just a temporary hold. We're going to sew all this, so we don't need anything like permanent or anything like that. We just need something to hold on to stuff until we can get it sewn together. And then just lay it down flat. Okay, we can take both our clips off now. And now we can kind of do our adjusting. Kind of adjust things around, get it straightened out. I like to lay it flat, like so. There we go. Looks good, looks real nice. So that's all ready to go. That is our glue part of this. That's probably the hardest part of this. Kind of looks like this edge is kind of sticking out. We'll kind of give him a little push in back there. There we go. All right. So now you have your top piece onto your felt, and that is probably the most complicated part of this whole entire process. We can put our glue away now. We're finished with our glue. And then our next step, you can get these out of the way too. Our next step is going to be to attach our clip onto the back of this one. Now, got glue all over my fingers. I say, don't touch it, and then I turn around and touch it. It's hard not to, though. And, you know, if you can think of a better way, then go ahead and knock yourself out. You just want to get that attached to that piece there. Okay, so got that guy done. Now we just need to attach this piece onto here. Now there's a little curve to this here. It's not much, but it's just a little. So you want to do one piece at a time. My pencil mark's out here, so I'm going to flip this over. I want to make sure it lines up if I do that. Looks like it's going to line up just fine. And so I want this little tiny piece here. You see there's a little pencil mark. I want that in the inside, so I'm going to put mine on the outside here. Now with the curve, you're going to want to attach one end at a time. So you attach with these two little holes here. So we're going to need to get some thread. Like I said, I'm just using a Nymo thread. You don't need a whole lot of it. There's not a lot of attaching going on here. And then I don't use a very sharp needle because I poke myself with it. So this is kind of a duller needle. Hang on, I'm going to go wash my hands. I got glue on my fingers. I will be right back. All right, got my fingers cleaned up there. It was just kind of, well, maybe a little few left. Okay, we're going to thread our needle here. Oh, actually first I'm going to just put a little beeswax, not very much. I like to put a little on because it keeps it from causing resistance or anything. Alright, thread our needle here. There we go, just like so. And I'm just going to put a quick knot at the end. There we go. Now I start from the bottom of the felt that's going to be on the inside because I have a knot here and I don't want my knot showing. And I'm kind of gonna try and center this nice because you want it to lay centered when you're wearing it. Find my pencil. I like to put just a little dot in the little hole here so that if it does move around or whatever when I'm sewing it, I know where I wanted it. So, hitting my head on my light here. So, I'm going to just kind of look her over here. Put a little dot on this side. Put a little dot. That way, I know, hey, that's where I want my barrette at. I don't think it's crooked, I don't know. My husband jokes that I have crooked eyes because I can never hang anything or line anything straight. It's it's kind of funny. So, all right. Now, you are going to want to take your felt and do one end at a time. I'm going to bring mine up from behind. Sometimes it's hard to make aim here. And I just whip stitch it on there. I go one end, and then I go over on the outside of it, and then come back in where I was, and go over. And I like to put quite a few of these. It's going to need to be kind of sturdy, especially if you have really thick hair or really long hair. It's going to take some wear and tear, and you don't want this coming off because this is going to be attached from the inside. So you want to make sure that it's going to be nice and sturdy and not fall apart on you. And you don't have to worry about that little dot there because it's the inside of the barrette. It's going to be facing your head when you're wearing it, so nobody's going to see that little mark that you put there. And you can even, I like to even put a few over here on the side too. As this is kind of sharp metal, so you want to, it might cut one of your threads, so you want to have as many on there as you can. This is just the back of it, so this isn't what we really care about. We don't, it doesn't matter what it really looks like. We just want to make sure that it's going to be sturdy and not come off of there. And you know, I have really long hair, so it's always nice to be able to make your own hair accessories too. And you can't really find very cool looking barrettes anymore like you used to be able to. A lot of it's just those little clip, lobster clips or whatever they're called, or like your little claw clips. And there's a few barrettes, but they never fit in my hair. I have so much hair. So it's always nice to have a nice, that's why I like these 3-inch ones, because they're nice and big and all my hair goes in them. The tail's getting tangled. Just kind of put however many makes you feel comfortable. Just like so. I think that should be good. That seems nice and sturdy on there. So, here we go. Let's see it. Got it all on there. And I just put a little quick knot on the back. I can grab my needle. And one more for good measure. Just like that. There we go. Snip that off of there. And snip it just a little bit shorter. And then we just got to do our other side here. And you'll notice that natural curve will kind of come into it as you're sewing too onto your felt. The curve of that barrette. So get this end here attached. And you want to make sure that's lying nice and flat. And that you're lined up with your little dot that you made, so it's nice and even. Maybe. Whoops. Derp. Go through the right direction there. Let me thread my needle real quick. Ready? I mean, I'd like to use a sharp needle, but I swear I will literally keep poking my finger with it. I mean, this got sharpness to it, but it's not like those sharps that I use. Those are really sharp. You don't need something very sharp to go through felt. As you know, it's an easy thing to get through. Do a couple more here. I like to make sure it's on there nice and tight. Do one more over here. Like so. And that's that. Got it all attached there. We'll put our knot in the back here. Almost done already. These go really fast. Once you get the loom set up and get her loomed, you know, you could always have a bunch of them all done and then just go through and make a bunch of barrettes at one shot. They're super easy to make. They don't take very long at all once you get going on them. And that's that. Give that a little snip. And then we have our back. So we have our backing, and now we have our front. Feels nice and sturdy on that front now. And we're just going to put them together like so. Super easy. Looks great. Oh, I like it. It looks really nice. And, you know, you could put a beaded edge around it. I don't because my hair gets caught up in them. So I like to keep it nice and smooth. That's just the way I like it. But you do it however you like. If you want to do a beaded edge around as you sew, you can. That's up to you. Now, I'm going to get a longer thread here because I don't like to have to weave in and out. And then we're gonna beeswax it here, and that protects it nice. Especially with something you're gonna be wearing like this in your hair, keep it nice and protected. Don't worry about that beeswax. If it shows up on your beads, it'll come off. All right, and then thread my needle here. Here we go. I'm going to make a quick knot at the bottom. Now, what you do is you stick your two pieces together. You might want to double check your loom work, make sure it's lined up how you want it. And then I'm just going to set that right on top of that other piece, just like so. And when you start sewing, you obviously don't go through both these pieces. Do not go through both those. Only go through the part with the beads. And what I like to do is I like to come in a little deep, probably about into your second row or your first row here, probably about right there. I think you can see that there. And then I'm going to just pull, it's right in the corner there, and just pull my thread right through. There we go. Now if you want to keep your pieces together, you can always line them up the way you want them, as close as possible, and bring in your trusty little clip and clip it together. And that way it's going to stay in place until you get further. Now, we've got our needle in there with the thread, and you go in between because we want to hide that tail. We want to hide that knot in between these two. So we got that in there. Now what you're going to want to do is go through that first bead with your needle, like so. Go through that first bead, bring your needle through, and then you come down underneath there, and you want to bring it up right in between these first two beads, right in between here. So from underneath, I'll get it lined up and I'll show you here. I'm going to bring it in right there in between those first two beads, just like so, and pull through. And you're gonna have to kind of line up your thread as you go. And watch how that just lays right nice there. See that? And then again, once you've come up, you go through the bead. So you're gonna go through that second bead, just like that, and pull, just like so. And then you're gonna come up in between. So your thread's coming out of that second bead, you're going to want to come in between your second and your third bead from behind. So underneath here, let me get it lined up. You're going to want to come up right there from behind in between those two beads. And pull it through. And as your thread comes down, it'll lay down real nice and create a really nice pattern. Now I'm going to push that down a little. That's kind of coming up, it looks like. That'll probably fix itself as I thread. Now we go through our third bead, like so, and pull through. And then we're going to come up in between our third and fourth bead. Get there like so. And pull. Oh, Don't get caught up in between into your barrette there. Like so. And see how that makes, it's like the beads make the spacing for you. And that's really nice. It turns out real pretty that way. Go in between the other bead there, or in that other bead, and bring it through. Then you go in between that same, those two, where it's always where the thread is coming out is where you go in between your beads. So see the thread's coming out, and we're gonna go in between right there. And you always want to make sure you're grabbing enough felt in the back. There we go, like so. And pull it through. You always want to make sure you're grabbing enough in the back. You don't want to just like go in to like the edge. See, I'm going in just a little ways, not much, but enough to be able to hold that tight and make sure that's not going to come out of there. Go through our bead. And these get so easy as you go along, as you learn your rhythm and your pattern. It makes it nice and easy. All right, get through here. Go. Get through that bead. And bring it up. You just go all the way to the end this way. You know, sometimes it's nice to just let the glue set overnight too, and that way it keeps it right where you want it. Because mine's kind of sliding around just a little because the glue isn't quite dry yet. But that's okay. I'm not worried about it. Maybe. There we go. In between, through the bead, and then in between, and through the bead, and then in between, and that's all this is, really. That's absolutely all this is. Get through. There it goes. And I do think this would have looked a little nicer on black, but I wanted you guys to be able to see it, and I figured, well, there's some white in the pattern, so it's not a big deal. I can always make one with black felt later. I'm not worried about it. And I mean, you could try to use Elmer's glue to hold that on there, but I'm not sure if it would hold it. I've never tried. I've always ever done the E6000, so. Alright, we made it to our corner. Whoops. Sometimes that tail likes to try and knot me up. There we go. Bring her through there. Now, my little thread here didn't hold too good. Bring it through that last bead there. Just like so. Pull your thread through. Now we're going to go over to the side. Now the side doesn't have the beads like this. The side has all your looming like this. So what you're going to want to do, we've gone through, and for my corners I like to go into this, in between these first two beads here. I'm going to go in between those two. I'm going to try to get that thread to go in a little better. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm going to have to hold this with my finger, but so I have it coming out of that last one on the end here, and I want my thread to come down like that around the corner on this side. So I'm going to bring my thread up from behind. Don't go through the bead. There we go. Just like that. And that lays that nice and flat. Now, from now on, instead of going through the beads, like we did on this end, we're going to go through these little threads. And this part goes fast because I just go straight through. So I've been through that one, and I'm going to go down, and it's basically in between. And you grab that thread and just pull through. And then make sure your thread flips over onto that side like that. And then you just keep doing that. Just go down and in between that bead or that thread. You don't have to don't go through any of your beads. It might pull those beads off of there, so you don't want to go through any of those. But this will anchor down that thread to the side of your barrette. Like so. Now I'm in between the thread and not the bead. I'm going through that thread right there. Let's pull on through. It got caught there. Well, what the heck. And that way you're kind of just whip stitching it together. And it's going to look a little loose until you get it all. You want to get it all done. I'm just going to kind of adjust my piece here. Straighten it out a little. All right. You just work your way all the way around the barrette. See, it makes a nice little pattern on that side too. It looks really nice with the thread. Go through the back and in between those two. Oops, gotta make sure you're grabbing both the felts. In between that thread right there. Just pull through. Back between those two threads, pull through. It's actually quick going after a while. You want to make sure on the side where you can see the beads like this, you don't go through them like you would up here. Do not go through the beads over here, it's going to pull your beads off. So you want to make sure you keep it, it's going to warp them and make them look weird. So you want to make sure you get on that side. You know, this would be the very end. This thread here would be that very end thread on both sides of the loom. And that's what you want to be going through. You want to get behind that. You want to get behind that and hook onto that and then pull through. I'm going to continue working my way around and I will be right back. Okay, so I made it back down to this other corner. So we've got this done and all of this done. See how that lines up real nice? Looks really pretty on the edge. Really nice. So, got a couple stitches here. Back down through the... Go through that thread there. Behind it, or however you want to call it. And then I'm going to do this very last one. There's this one last little thread here. I'm going to go through that one. Went in too far there. There we go. And that's that end. So now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to glue on the edge. And that's okay. That glue will wear off over time. If I can get through here. I want to go through, pull that a little tighter. There we go. So you see, we've done all this side here, and now we have to do this side, side where the beads are laying straight. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go through that bead on it. See, we finished this end here. You're going to want to go through that bead here. We'll turn the corner, as I would call it, just like so. And then you want to come back up, like remember when you did on this side, where you go in between the beads by the back. I can get through. Maybe. There we go. Okay, got through there. That's it. I don't know what's going on here. There we go. Jeez Louise. And then just pull it on through. And then again, go through the bead. Just like so. Pull it through. And then you go behind, in between. See your threads coming out here. So you go in between the second and third bead. Just like so. Just like you did on the other end. Through the bead. Okay, I have to change my needle. It's not going through. I think oh, yep, I broke it. That's the problem. Okay. Give me a second, I gotta get another needle here. Just do a sharp, I guess. That would be the problem. That's probably why it caught so bad on the last two I tried to enter into. And that happens a lot. Needles breaking and things. If I can get through this tiny little eye. Goodness. Jeez. Okay, there we go. Now, go through that one bead. It's like we did before. That line as well. Whoops. And then come up in between again. These sharps, I always poke myself with them. Through the bead again. Just like so. And just continue doing that all the way around your barrette. I'm going to finish mine and meet right back up. Alright, I'm at my last stitch here. Put my last stitch in. I think mine turned out a little wonky, but I think I cut my felt just a touch too big. But it looks better when you have felt that matches your beadwork. I'm just doing this so you guys can see how to go about doing things. So that's our last stitch. As you can see, it's stitched all the way around. Really nice. Looks good in the back. And we're going to tie it off here. And how I do that is I like to go kind of like, let's see here. We're going to go, I think I might, I'm going to bring this back up and bring it up through there just to kind of tighten down that corner a little. There we go. All right, so we got her all stitched up and we're going to finish it off here. And what I like to do is I'm going to take my thread here. I'm going to go through a few of these beads here, just like so. And I'm going to do just a discreet little double knot right there, like so. And I'm going to do one more. And this is kind of like how we did with our looming, how it's going to go through the bead and disappear. So we got our little double knot there. And I'm going to go through again. Like that. Now since I worked with felt, it's really easy to make your thread disappear. And I'm just going to take my needle and I'm going to push it all the way through to the back, like this. So all the way through. And I'm going to pull that through all the way, like that. See how that disappeared there? We lost our thread. Where'd it go? It's on this side. And then I'm going to take my snippers and I'm just going to snip. I'm going to kind of hold this down and I'll pull, kind of taunt on that and snip it, and it disappears. And there we have our finished barrette, ready to go, ready to wear. Now, mine looks a little bit wonky, I'm not going to lie, because I was going to use black and it would have looked a little better on black, but it kind of looks like it's got a white border. But, you know, the more you do it, the better you get at it, and these are so fun to wear, and they're really great accessory for your hair, and I absolutely love how these turn out. I think it turned out, let me turn my light down a little. I think it turned out really, really beautiful. So I'm excited to wear it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you can make some barrettes of your own, and join me again soon. I'll have some more videos coming up. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do yet. I'm thinking maybe some earrings or necklaces or something like that. We'll do something fun. So this is just one idea. We can do another, I think I might do another loom video for bracelets too, so we can learn how to finish off our bracelets. And I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for coming by. Feel free to leave a comment, like, and subscribe.